How you doing, bro, man?
All right, brother. Good to see you.
Good, peace, man.
George, what's the old troublemaker doing here?
Peace, brother.
So this is actually a renewal of the existing store.
How you doing, brother?
Good, sir. How about you?
Good, man. Good.
Like you're just moving the room.
Huh?
I thought you were looking for somewhere to set up.
Lowndes County Republican. Oh, I said, I How you doing, my friend?
Good, man. How you making it?
I'm doing swell, doing swell. Good to see you.
Likewise, peace.
Oh, man.
How you doing, Professor?
Good to see you.
Good, man. Peace be unto you, brother.
Thank you. It's got a good turnout. Good turnout. I'll help you guys on the chair.
We're out of chairs.
All right.
Is it on campus?
Would you like to see you in the principal's office? Just that. Everybody, my name is Lee MacArthur. I'm the chairman of the board of the Chamber of Commerce this year. I want to halfway apologize. What the meeting agenda was is that we would have 5:30 to 6 to mix and mingle and meet candidates at their tables and so forth. I don't think we communicated that real well, so you probably think we're starting 15 minutes late. So I apologize about that. So we're going to officially start 15 minutes early, but kind of 15 minutes late. So thank you everybody for being here tonight. It's respectful of the process, it's respectful of the candidates. One thing about local elections is they're our neighbors. They're our people we see at the grocery store, we see them at church, at work perhaps. And it's not the spotlight that we get used to when we watch cable news channels, right? It's teleprompters, it's flash, it's splash. But local candidates, they actually don't get that glory. They are here because they seek to work and seek to serve us. And so it is a great respect and appreciation to everybody that's going to be up here that we want to extend to them tonight. Okay? On behalf of the Chamber, and as well as the Valdosta Board of Realtors and the Home Builders Association, we do welcome you to what we call Meet the Candidates. That's the purpose, so that you can actually meet our candidates both at their table, and then they'll have a chance to speak here in just a minute. So before we go any further, would everybody please rise if you're able? With the pledge of allegiance to those who have served and are still serving. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So at this time, with the candidates and/or if you have an official surrogate, would you start making your way up to the front to these chairs to my left? But we are about to get started. So, of course, election day is November 5th, And we hope the forum that you have tonight, that you're part of tonight, will be helpful to you as you either reinforce the decision you've already landed on or help you arrive at one that you're still deciding. So at this time, I'm going to introduce our moderator for this evening, the president of the Valdosta Board of Realtors, Ms. Missy Sherwood. Turn it over to you.
The Chamber would like to extend a very special thank you to their resident partners who have provided the financial support for this evening's event. At this time, I'd like to recognize the special chamber members. Barnes Drug Store, Valdosta Coca-Cola Bottling Company, Mediacom, Rise, First Federal Savings, Langdale Boggs and Law Firm, Valdosta City Manager, and Coleman Talley. Thank you. As you know, candidates tend to be on their sandbox, so we've set a few ground rules and I would like to go over them. I will call on the candidates in the order they appear on the program. Each candidate will have 5 minutes to address the audience. Our timekeeper will give the candidates 1 minute warning signal. If your time is run out, we ask that you finish your sentence, not your paragraph. Tonight, there will be no questions or answers during the presentations. And candidates, if you will, once you're finished with addressing the audience, if you'll come back and sit in your seat, and just remain seated until the end of the event. So ladies and gentlemen, at this time, let's give our undivided attention to our candidates. First up for Mayor, Kevin J. Lussett.
How's everybody doing today? All right. So I was going to read off my tablet, but I think I'm just going to keep it and just be real with you, if that's okay with you. Born and raised right here in Valdosta, Georgia. Most would call it the low-income, welfare-based areas. Some of the places where a lot of crime and drugs and a lot of issues on the south end of town. That's where I come from. And so many people ask, why do you talk about that so much? Why do you bring up Weisenmaker Lane and Fry Street and all of these other places? Why do you bring them up so much? And the reason why I bring it up is because it made me who I am today. And it will sustain me to be who I am to become. I left here in 2005 and I went off to serve in the military for 13 years. Medically retired after due to some injuries that I sustained over in Iraq and Afghanistan. After that, I decided, or 2008, I'll go back a little bit. 2008, they gave me the opportunity to say, hey, do you want to continue serving or do you want to go ahead and medically retire? I wasn't done serving, I wanted to continue serving. So I switched my job over to human resources, where in about 2 years I became the top 10% of my career field out of all human resources sergeants, soldiers, I should say, in the military. Because of that, I had an opportunity to train, coach, mentor thousands and thousands of soldiers. Some who are now captains and lieutenants, and who are just doing my heart justice because of what I've instilled in them, the leadership that I've instilled in them to move forward in their lives. In February of 2015, I medically retired out of the military. Just because of those injuries, I couldn't continue to move forward, and I knew when it was time for me to hang up. I knew when it was time for me to pass that torch on to the upcoming individuals that were going to take my place. So I left out in February 2015, and April 2015, I went off and not knowing what I was going to do, how impactful I was going to be in the lives of many. And so I applied for so many jobs, and I went up against some of the most qualified individuals. And I was able to be selected to work for the United States Department of Commerce by way of the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration and the White House. Now, you're telling me this little boy coming from the south side of Valdosta, Georgia, working at the White House was quite a place to be. Quite a place to be. Never thought in a million years I would be there. In 2017, I woke up with a crazy notion that I can be the change that I want to see. And so I came back here to Valdosta. I ran for city council, in which I lost that race, but in that defeat, I found victory. Because at that time, I realized that I was running a citywide campaign opposed to just a district-wide campaign. So here I am now running for the position of mayor. And why am I running for this position? for each and every one of you, and every person that, every law-abiding citizen that lives within the city limits. I want to represent you. I want to be the biggest cheerleader for Valdosta. There's so much untapped potential here in the city, and I want to be able to try to find that by way of working with the city council, working with the department heads, and working with you, the citizens of Valdosta. Each and every one of you have a piece of the puzzle here. Each and every one of you. Now what we have to do is bring that puzzle piece together and determine what we want Valdosta to be. We cannot continue to sit down and complain and gripe about all the issues. Let's be a part of the solution. Let's find the good here, and resurface that good so that we can make this place whatever we want it to be. And I believe that we can get it done. A lot of people think that we have to wait and look at the federal level and wait for them to get their stuff together before we can get it together down here on the local level. Well, I believe that we should show them how to do it. I believe that we should show them at the local level how to become a city without limits. Then hopefully that will go on into showing to become a state without limits, a nation without limits. That is how we do it. So I want to be your mayor of Valdosta, Georgia. I want to represent you to the best of my ability. I want to bring all of us together in a unified, collaborative effort. I want to make sure that we are transparent as possible, and I want to make sure that we focus on infrastructure. And with all of those things, I believe that we can truly make this place a city without limits by adopting my model. One team, one fight, one Valdosta. Thank you so much.
One thing I forgot to tell you is Tyler is our timekeeper, and he will notify you when you have 1 minute left. Next up is Scott James Matheson.
My name's Scott James Matheson, and I'd like to be your next mayor in the city of Valdosta. Something I've been preparing for the last 30 years. Been to probably, 4 of these now, guys? 4 of these forums, debates, question and answer sessions. And then the last one at the Divine Nine last week, my wife said to me, here's my only critique. You don't sell yourself well enough. You talk about the programs in depth, you talk about layers deep on solutions, you talk about ideas and innovative ideas to move the city forward, but you do not sell yourself well enough. So I'm going to try, but this is very uncomfortable for me. It's the only reason, it's the first time I put down a piece of paper and a script since we started doing this, only to give myself a timeline. And I did. I got here 30 years ago. A fine gentleman and his beautiful wife, Harrison and Linda Cooper, hired me to come to town to work at their radio station during a recession. It was a very tough time for them and a tough time for me and this town, as a matter of fact. But guess what? It offered me a chance to serve from day one. Money's not effort. So as long as you want to get out, roll up your sleeves and help the town, you can do it, and that offered me the opportunity. Early on, I met a lady named Angela Krantz that got me involved in the Red Cross and put me on their board of directors for a couple of years. Angela went on to the United Way. I followed her there and started something called a charity roof sit, which we kept alive for 10 years, a full decade. It was at that time also, I was living in the little town of Bremerton, and I wanted to make it a little better, and something I don't sell as well either. I did 6 years on city council there, 2 years as mayor pro tem in that little town. We only were dealing with $1 million budget, so I call it practice politics. But it was something we got done. We got that beautiful water tower done. I got a beautiful streetscape project done on Bakery Place up front. We initiated something called community policing in a 1 mile square town, and at the time we had 10 full or part-time officers due to a cops grant at the time. We were able to kind of take care of our own and saw anybody that came through there wanted to drive drunk or speed through the town or otherwise. We called it community policing, and it worked pretty well. We got our own home, and took everybody else to jail. I served on the board for the first 3 years of the Azalea Festival Committee. I've been involved in our Chamber of Commerce for as long as I can remember. I helped promote everybody's fundraisers, emceed half a dozen events a year, and gave my time and time again, because it's what I love to do. I started talk radio in this town in 2003. I became a small business owner in 2005 when I bought my first radio station. I bought Talk 92.1 back in 2007. I built another from the ground up in 2010, and shortly thereafter I bought the old WJEM, which we just moved into. We renovated it after owning it and watching it fall apart around me for about 9 years as well. I'm currently serving as co-chair on the One VALDOSTA-LOWNDES initiative with people. This is a beautiful thing. I've been a part of a few of these over the years that haven't taken hold. This one, we have fragmented ourselves so many ways with so many different authorities, and we spread so thin across the town that we end up taking small little victories. That's not a big victory. We got to bring all that together and have a few home runs, and that's what this initiative is doing. I'm very proud to be a part of it. I'm president-elect for a great organization called Leadership Lowndes. What better way to spend your time than planting seeds of leadership throughout the community? Time and time again, I'll be their president next year for 2020. And finally, what makes me most qualified for this job, mayor, is what I do every single day. I sit down with those boards, I sit down with those authorities, I spend 3 hours with them, or I spend 20 minutes with them. But I get to touch each and every one of them, and I can connect those dots. I'm gonna bring that bunch together. I'm gonna do big things for this town for the next 8 years, and then I'll step aside for new ideas. How about that? My name is Scott James Matheson, and I'm going to be your next mayor. Thank you.
Next up is G.B.R.
You know, when I think of Valdosta, I see two things. I see potential and I see opportunity. I see a city that has close proximity to two of the nation's largest interstate systems. Interstate 75 and I-10 just south of us. I see a city that has two major railroads bisecting our city, CSX and Norfolk Southern. I see a city that has the third longest runway of any city in Georgia outside of Atlanta and Savannah. I see a city with a major medical facility, South Florida Medical Center, military base, Moody Air Force Base, one of Georgia's leading universities, Val State University. I see potential. I see opportunity. So what's holding us back? I think vision. The vision that Jimmy Rainwater had back in the 90s when he said we're going to start streetscape and we're going to revitalize downtown. And he put together a committee, and I was blessed to be serving on that committee. He sent me and some other people to to Athens, and to Dalton, and to Gainesville. And he said, what are they doing there to revitalize their downtown? We came back and gave the mayor a report and said, Mr. Mayor, they're using downtown for restaurants, for living spaces. And Emily and Patty Gerard was the first two to convert the old McCormick's building into apartments downtown. And so downtown was being renovated. It was being revitalized. At one point, we was very close to getting a gap downtown. All that changed. But we can bring that back. I remember talking to Mayor Rainwater on Norman Drive when it was 2-lane road. And they had the fire hydrants 60 feet away from the road. I said, Mr. Mayor, those fire hydrants are inaccessible to the fire department. I said, Chief, we're going to widen this road. You're going to see hotels and shops on Norman Drive. That's vision. That's the kind of vision I have to bring to the city of Valdosta. To give you an example, when I took over as fire chief in 1995, we was rated an ISO class 3. For those of you who are not familiar with that process, that's a group that comes in and looks into a fire department to determine how proficient they are. And they get with the insurance companies, they tell the insurance companies how good your fire department is, and the insurance company base your homeowner's insurance based on that rating. I was the first chief in the history of Valdosta to lower the insurance rating to a class 2. It wasn't easy, but it was needed. We had to do some things, some changes. We made those changes. I see a city that competes with Augusta, Athens, Columbus, Macon, Albany. We'll never be Atlanta. Don't want to be Atlanta. Don't even like going to Atlanta. Amen. But there's no reason we can't compete with Athens. Economically. Albany, economically. Savannah, economically. On certain things. Especially uplifting our standard of living in Valdosta. We're the poorest metropolitan city in Georgia. We can do better than that. There's an article in the paper just the other day. Cities outside, we rank 14 at the bottom. We can do better than that. We have the opportunity. We have the potential. Let's put it to work. Let's roll our sleeves up. Let's get the job done. I'm J.D. Rice. I want to be your mayor. I'm going to ask you for your vote. I'm the only candidate who's pushing public transportation. I got to get that out there. And I'm going to pay for it without one dime of property tax. It's gonna come off I-75, is a proposed House Bill 448, that local legislators need to get behind and push. It'll allow us to raise the hotel motel tax to help pay for public transportation. I need your prayers, I need support, and I want your vote. Thank you.
Dave Summer.
Hello, my name is David Sumner, and I will be your mayor. I served 3 terms on the Valdosta City Council. While serving, I held the position of Mayor Pro Tem and was elected mayor by my fellow council members after the death of then Mayor James H. Wainwright. I made many visits to Washington, D.C. to lobby on behalf of the city of Valdosta and attend meetings at the Pentagon and Parker Green for support of Moody Air Force Base. I obtained a certification of achievement presented by the University of Georgia and Georgia Municipal Association for completion of the Harold F. Holtz Municipal Training Institute for elected officials. I attended and completed the prestigious Leadership Institute for municipal elected officials at the University of Georgia. Today, as a volunteer, I serve as president of the Southern Commission's 2 leading nonprofit corporations. The board lends to businesses within an 18-county area in South Georgia. This past year, ending June the 30th, the total volume for the year was $16,521,000. There were 160 jobs created or saved. 71 of those were in Lowndes County. I understand job growth and development. Now let's get down to business. When I left the meeting with Catherine Wallman, Chief Statistician of the United States Office of the President, in which she informed Mayor Rainwater, the city manager, and myself of Valdosta's status as a metropolitan statistical area, we were excited beyond belief. Our city was alive, and people were excited about our community and what it could offer. There was opportunity there was room to grow and succeed. I envisioned Valdosta competing with Savannah, Columbus, and Macon. Today, we're having a hard time doing so with Tifton and Moultrie. Today, our household income is $40,391, compared to a peak in 2008 of $48,019. Our per capita income is down, and many other categories that measure success are down. Numbers that should be down are up, and numbers that are up should be down. Many of the same areas that received MSA status when we did are ahead of us. Brunswick, 43,000. Hinesville, 49,000. Warner Robins, 54. I believe in free enterprise, and small business is the foundation and fabric of our city. City government must encourage businesses to grow and not hinder those opportunities. It must serve as a catalyst to prepare growth rather than obstruct. We have many pressing issues today. If you do not recognize these issues, how can you lead? Some of our authorities are operating under outdated models. If progress is not achieved, lack of change is inevitable. I say we look for partnerships outside the norm. We must be concerned about health care, industrial growth, and jobs. We must work with the county and conclude the service delivery plan. I am the only candidate who served on the first and last team to deliver such a plan. This election may be the most important election in our lifetime. Our city has struggled over the past years. Mayor John Dale has done an excellent job of leading the city. He came in during a difficult time. John brought a calming effect to our city. He cooled down many hot items and helped bring people together. For that, I am grateful to Mayor Dale. It's an honor to have been raised in Valdosta. No matter where I go, I'm proud to call Valdosta home. Our legendary Valdosta High coach, Nick Hyder, taught us about winning and laid out the foundation of leadership and teamwork, 2 principles that I've always applied to my daily life. When elected mayor, I'll work hard as a team leader and actively lead this city, working with the city council and all citizens to make Valdosta the very best it can be. This election is not about one issue or one set of ideas. It's about our future. Our city is at a crossroads. Inexperienced leadership can take us down the wrong path. We must move forward. I have the experience and knowledge of city government to help all of Valdosta with job growth, prosperity, low property taxes, and an improved quality of life, vote for me. David Sumner for mayor. When elected, all neighborhoods and all voices will be heard. Working together, we can build a better Valdosta. Thank you.
Not yet. Okay. Next we have Adrian Rivers. This is the Valdosta City Council at large.
Hello, I am Adrian Rivers, and I am running for City Council at large. Very excited to be here. I am on a mission of hope, one of help, opportunity, partnership. And when we put all those things together, I believe that every single person wins. So let me tell you two things that I want you to really take away, is that I am from Valdosta and I am for Valdosta. A lot of individuals may not see the importance of that, but I was born and raised here in Valdosta. I went to school here in Valdosta. I graduated Valdosta High School in 2004 at Valdosta. I graduated from Valdosta State University. I've done my first job here in Valdosta. I worked as an investigator with the Department of Family and Children's Services. Did that for 4.5 years. Worked as a chief investigator for the department and worked child death cases. I've seen the worst of the worst and I've seen the best of the best here in Valdosta. But I'm also a champion for Valdosta. I currently serve as the board chair for LAMP, and I serve as the chair with Wiregrass as well with the adult education program. I also serve as the champion for the region for foster care. I go around the entire region recruiting foster homes. And by the way, we're recruiting 75 homes by this time next year, which is going to be a great accomplishment. So I love Valdosta. I love the families here in Valdosta. I love the people here in Valdosta. And I spend my extra time, all of my time, serving Valdosta. Now let me talk about how I'm for Valdosta. As Scott talked about, I graduated 2017 class of Leadership Lounge, which is still the best class ever. And I learned a lot about my city. And in that time, it fueled my energy to make a stand for what I believe. I believe in that moment that I achieved understanding we have the greatest minds right here. We don't have to reach further. We don't have to reach outside. But we can actually build partnerships and collaborations together to ensure that we have everything that we need for Valdosta. We have Moody Air Force Base here. We have Wiregrass here. We have Valdosta State University. And I think about the day when we all collectively come to one table. What kind of city could we build if we did it together? I want to be that bridge. I want to be that connector. I want to be that individual that will pick up the phone and call everybody and say, let's talk to build a better Valdosta. I'm for community redevelopment. Cities like Savannah work hand in hand with the chamber, work to provide tax incentives. They work to have opportunity districts, economic development districts. That if you put a business here, that we're going to make sure as a city, not federally, not state, but as a city, we're going to make sure you have incentives. I want to work for that. I want to make sure that when a person opens a business here in Valdosta, that we streamline that process. In Savannah, Georgia, Chatham County, they have a department that is dedicated to making sure that when you say you want a business, they get with the chamber and they lead that person into what needs to happen. I want to make sure I support that. I want to be a champion for you. I'm looking forward to serving you. I'm looking forward to standing up for whatever needs to be stood up for. I'm looking to be your voice. It doesn't have to be in my power. You just have to let me know there's an issue, and I want to voice that opinion for you. So I'm for community development. I'm for improving quality of life. And the most important one for me is investing in our youth. I want to take the next step to do whatever it takes to work with the juvenile justice system, the police department, the Board of Education, to make a plan that is going to help ensure that our youth are succeeding. So on November the 5th, I ask for your votes. And then if you vote for me, my promise is that I will be your voice and I will represent you well. Thank you, Adrian Rivers, City Council at large.
Good evening, everyone. My name is G.B.R.
person that's sitting in your seat now. I've heard a lot of people talk about businesses and opportunities and such, but what makes us who we are, untapped potential that we possess, are our residents and the people that go home every day wondering when is change going to come. My platform is simple, and I want you to understand that not only am I from and for Valdosta, but I'm focused on Valdosta. I want to tell you that when I went to speak to a current politician about my platform as a city candidate, a city councilman at large candidate, being the youngest young man up here, it's a life-changing experience, and it's been a learning experience to say the least, but I've enjoyed every moment of it. And I went to share my ideas with them, and they told me, they said, save the sermon. I said, okay. And then I froze and said, what do you plan on doing? So I continued to try to tell my ideas and my endeavors, and they cut me off again and said, yeah, I understand all that, but what do you plan on doing? So I sat back and I began to share with them my heart for redefining and revitalizing downtown Valdosta, giving our city something to look forward to when it comes down to having a city that we've got major highways and infrastructure that have so much untapped potential that we aren't doing anything with. After sharing with them my heart, they then said, listen, now let me help you do this. I've come to understand something so critical and so powerful that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So my platform is very simple. Let's make Valdosta Stone strong. I've dedicated over 7 years of my college career to volunteer services, from serving on the executive board of the largest minority organizations on campus to now spearheading mentorship in 4 public schools and sitting on the advisory board for a local youth advancement organization and a local pastor here in Valdosta. Again, I'm focused on Valdosta. I've had the opportunity to speak at the middle school, the state prison, FCA local gatherings, and in the John Saunders Park, I've been given the distinct honor of seeing the hearts of the citizens. While everyone wants to be the voice of Valdosta, I want you to understand something. That's fine and well, but that is not the job of the at-large candidate. That's the mayor's job. As the at-large candidate, it is our job to be your hands. We are here to help you grasp, gather, and gain the essentials for you to make our community stronger. Becoming a stronger city means we don't let red tape and regulations continue to define the success and the tenure of our small and local businesses, but we encourage businesses and citizens to grow fluidly in our city. From the monumental amenities such as Valdosta State University, South Georgia Medical Center, to our smaller parts like Hudson Docket and Orly West. They all deserve the opportunity to embrace change and strength. I'm fighting for equity over equality for the city of Valdosta. I'm pushing to make sure that the city understands peace, politics, education, advocacy, community involvement, and economics. We have so many opportunities on campus, student organizations that are pushing for change, growth, and development, from mentorships to going in, cleaning in neighborhoods, to going in and speaking with residents for voters registration. Our young people are working hard, and I'm pushing for youth involvement in this city. It's time that our young people rise to the occasion and help push our senior citizens. We need change, we need advocates, and we need someone that's driven and that has a heart for this city. I may be young, but I'm determined, and I want to make this city Stone strong. My name is G.B.R. Stone. I'm running for city councilman at large, and I want your vote. Thank you so much.
All right, y'all. For some strange reason, I always have to go behind the strange speaker. Hi, I'm Edgar Dooley. Tell you a little bit about me. I'm from one of the largest families in Valdosta. Dooley family. Awesome. I served 23 years plus in the United States Army, Army Reserve, where I did a short stint in Iraq back in 2003. One of my proudest moments is they sent me from Valdosta, Georgia, to Traverse City, Michigan, to take a unit of 163 people into a war zone. I took 163 people I did not know, and I brought 163 people back to their family. So that's one of my proudest moments. I am a veteran. I worked for Valdosta Fire Department for 17 years. Some of y'all might have seen me. If you have a business, I was the inspector, I was the arson investigator, and I was the plan reviewer. So I know what's the process it takes when you get ready to open up a business. If elected, one of the things I want to look at is revamping our LDR. I strongly believe it shouldn't take you 90 days until at least to open up a business. That that you're trying to do. 30 days. You should be able to open up a business because you're paying utilities, rent, and all this other stuff, and you have no income coming in. So that's one of the things I like to look at. Another thing is, I like to look at bringing businesses here to our beautiful industrial park. We have an industrial park on the south side of town, Miller Park. If you never rode through there, it already has all the infrastructure. It's a beautiful place. But we need to draw businesses in there. And the last thing that I want to talk about is, everybody's excited about the mayor race, and I'm happy for it. Just remember this, it takes 4 votes from the city council to get you a agenda pass. So what I'm doing is asking for your vote, Edgar Dickey Tudor, on election day.
He was at the city council meeting earlier, so we'll come back to him. Okay, next we have our Valdosta City Council District 3. Thomas McIntyre's not here, okay? Ms. Sunny Dick. Council meeting. Okay, he's still there too, okay. Valdosta School Board District 3, David Gilbert.
My name is David G.B.R. You could also call me someone else. I worked at UTS for 33 years. After retiring, I started working before I retired, I started with Rotary. Rotary told us that we had to go out to the schools and read to students. I was at someone else. No, somebody else can do it. Someone else. But they held us accountable. Everybody had to go out there and read. So while I was out there, I realized what an impact I had on these kids. Just sit there and read. If I would step back, somebody else would have done it. But no, I'm glad I did. I'm glad I became that someone else. Then later, after I did retire, I started going to substitute. Once again, I realized someone else would have done it. But no, I'm glad I did. I felt that I got a chance to talk to the kids, got a chance to talk to the teachers, got a chance to talk to the parents, and realized there's some real issues, concerns, gripes that they have out there. I realized it's something that I can do. It's something that I need to do. I can step back and say, someone else can do it. And yeah, it will be done. Somebody else will do it. A lot of y'all know someone else. We look at our lives, and we can always step back and say, I'm not going to say anything to that kid. Somebody else will say it. Somebody else will do it. No, I'm going to do it. I got to try, at least. There's so many issues that's out there with the schools and the school systems that I can't stand up here and name them all, but I name a few. I like to see all the schools look alike. All schools don't look alike. They don't all have the same supplies. And that's not, we do ourselves an injustice. We don't equal a playing field. We have a STEM program on one side of town. It's going to be a STEM program on both sides of town. All the kids are equally smart if we give them an opportunity to do this. There are teachers that are taking money out of their own pockets. They have to buy supplies. We need to make sure they have tools. They're raising our kids. They need to have tools so that our kids can succeed. We gotta do this. And I realize I gotta be that someone else. I'll be that someone else. I like to say I work for United Partial Service. Service is the key. I'm here to serve people. That's why I want to be here. Like I say, I talk to the teachers, talk to the students, talk to the parents. Everybody's not gonna come to the board meetings. You know that. They're not gonna come. They need their issues addressed. I don't do that. I am a type of person I talk to anybody and everybody. I'm an approachable type of guy. Come to me. If you have any issues, you have any concerns, you have grievances, come to me. I'll talk truth to power. I promise you. The only thing we have is service. That's the thing that we separate. I've been doing service for 32 years plus. I don't mind doing it. I'll be that someone else. So I gotta try. I heard this phrase, I'd rather fail at trying to fly than sit in the nest and die. So I promise you, I will serve you. I will work for the people. And I want you to vote District 2, Valdosta City Schools. Thank you.
Next up is Melissa Brown.
How is everyone doing? Are you sure? Yes. My name is Kalisa Brown, and I currently sit on the seat as your District 2 Valdosta City Schools Board of Education representative. And as Mr. G.B.R. said, yes, there are some issues, there are some concerns. But currently, as a member of the board, we are working on those issues. We are working on those concerns. Bear with us. Change takes time. And I always tell people, I don't want to make a change. I want to be that change. I don't want to make a difference. I want to be that difference. I grew up here in Valdosta. I attended Valdosta City Schools. I graduated from Valdosta City Schools, graduated from Valdosta State University. I have worked in the school system, substitute, parapro. I taught GED for almost 10 years at Wiregrass. So I know the concerns. I know the issues. And I want to thank you all for allowing me to serve you since March of this year. And I would like to continue to serve as a District 2 Board of Education representative, to continue the work that you chose me to do, to continue to be that change, to be that difference. So when you go out on November the 5th, 2019 to vote, remember Kalisa Brown. She's the one. She is the change. She is the difference that is needed in our Valdosta City school system. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. I apologize for my tardiness. I guess you knew where I was. Work session across the street. Appreciate you being here, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak before you tonight. I have been your city councilman for 9 years, and probably one of the greatest honors I've ever had in my life, growing up as a little boy on Bemis Road, walking to school to the old Salisbury home. Valdosta has been my life. And I'm so glad that I can give back some of that. I say some because I'm one of 7 representatives on our city council, and it takes 4 at least to get anything done. And I'm so glad that I've been a part of that opportunity for the last 9 years. And I'm here tonight to ask you again for 4 more years. Another opportunity to serve more. We've done a lot in the past 9 years. That you can see if you drive by the water treatment plant. A lot of money has gone into that, in that infrastructure, ability to take care of the bad and the good of Valdosta when it comes to water and sewer. And I think we've got great facilities that we can be proud of. I think now we're ready for bigger and better things for Valdosta. And I have a real simple campaign for 3 points. The first is for a safe city. I do all that I can do as a councilman to vote for the support that our public, our police officers, our fire department, our water treatment, and our public works need. These are sung and unsung heroes of our community. We hear stories all the time about how they risk their lives on a daily basis. My dad was a police officer for Valdosta City when I was a little boy, and a lot has changed in many, many years since I was a little boy. And I want to do everything that I can do to support these men and women, help keep them safe as they keep us safe. Fire, we just looked at some new equipment. Did you know that firemen can get, and women can get cancer from smoke that goes through their uniforms? You're not aware of that? You are now. And we're looking at, again, supporting our fire department with some new uniforms. And this doesn't come at a cheap cost. But one of my points as councilman is to be frugal with your money and my money. It's our tax money that pulls together to support everything that we've come to expect from our city government. And I want to continue to be frugal, be that voice of sometimes my kids would say, I'm the no dad, and I would say no a lot to them. And sometimes we do have to say that because the expenditure is not really for the betterment of everyone in Valdosta. But certainly, we do want to support these people and who work so diligently, so hard, and risk so much for our lives and make our city so great. The other thing, other than frugal spending, would be an opportunity to build a better Valdosta together. We live in an age when we turn on the news, if you still watch the news, where there's so much division, and it's certainly trickled down to Valdosta. And I think sometimes we talk about division when there's really not division. We just know that there's division somewhere. But we have a lot of great people here in Valdosta, and can we do better together? Yes, we can do better together. We can't do better apart. If you take logs on a fire and you pull those logs apart, what happens to your fire? Your fire goes out. But when those logs are put together and kept together, then that fire will continue to roar. And I think Valdosta can certainly continue to roar as we work together. We need to be a work-ready city. And for my final point, if we want to encourage businesses to come to our city, we do need to be safe. We do need to have a safe city with good water and sewer and fire protection, police protection. But we need to be work ready, and that's the part that we can do. We can encourage our students to stay in school. We have some of the greatest opportunities in Valdosta. Valdosta City Schools, I'm a graduate, there are many graduates here, I'm sure, of that. Valdosta State College, now University, Wiregrass University, and the community college that we have here. There's something for everyone right here in Valdosta. We need to be ready, encourage our young people to stay in school, to become trained, so that when those corporations come in and look at Valdosta, we will be work ready. We'll say, we've got the workforce, we just need you to come in, and we'll be glad to work for you. I ask you again, please vote for Ben Norton and re-elect me as your city councilman at large. Early voting begins Monday 14th. Hope you go out, take a friend for Ben. I appreciate your votes. Thank you so much.
All right, I would like to thank the candidates. This was great. We appreciate y'all being here. At this time, I would like to ask Mr. Mike Goodley to come and speak on behalf of the spots.
How you doing? My name is Mike Goodley. I am not running for mayor. In fact, I'm not running for anything. I'm the president and CEO of the Southeastern Credit Union, but I come to you this evening as a private citizen, and the opinions that I'm going to express this evening are not necessarily those of the credit union, the directors, employees, or members. But I've come to talk to you about SPLOST. SPLOST Day will be on the ballot November 5th. And you know, people say, well, what is SPLOST? Well, SPLOST is an investment in our community. SPLOST is not new. It's a contribution that we make on purchases. It's been here since 1987, and it funds capital improvements and needed repairs in our community, not just in the city of Valdosta, but in Lowndes County and the surrounding cities. In terms of, it is a tax. It's a consumption tax. It's 1 penny on the dollar. It's about a 1% tax but it's probably the fairest tax that you could possibly have, because it doesn't matter how much income you make, it doesn't matter who you are, there are certain deductions and things that somehow you could avoid taxes, such as income taxes. It's something that we all pay equally. It helps to finance things like water and sewer infrastructure, drainage improvements, fire stations, we've heard a lot about, fire and police protection. It helps to purchase vehicles for fire. It helps sanitation, parks and recs, and other kind of things. SPLOST 8, which I would hope that you will vote yes for on November the 5th, over the next 6 years is expected to generate over $134 million to be used in our community. That's money that stays right here. And you've heard a lot tonight about our community. Yes, we have seen a little degradation, a little decline maybe in some incomes. No, we're not Atlanta, we're not rich, and we don't have the money to pay for these improvements if you just look at our city and county budget. We don't have enough ability in terms of property taxes to raise property taxes to pay for it, and goodness knows nobody wants to see an increase in property taxes. But SPLOST 8, there's a plan for about $65 million to pay for water and sewer improvements. About $30 million of that would be in the city of Valdosta. I heard a gentleman saying earlier that he lives in the city. The city's water is kind of spilling over into the lake in his community, creating a problem. Folks, we don't have the money to fix it unless we have those SPLOST pennies. That 1 penny on a dollar that each of us contributes, because it works on scale. Each of us gives that little bit, but with so many people, that's the scale, and it creates this pool of money that we can make improvements with. There's about $20 million slated for facilities improvements. Southside Branch Library facilities, City Hall, the general aviation facility out at the airport. Not the commercial terminal that we all fly out of if you fly, but general aviation. That's where business flies in. And I asked Jim Galloway, the manager at the airport, and he told me that Home Depot, Georgia Power, Coke, John Deere, Lowe's, Dollar General, Waffle House, Little Debbie, Chick-fil-A, car dealerships, and a number of businesses fly into that terminal. What that means, those are jobs. See, those people are flying here because they're the corporate people that come, that keep these companies here that provide jobs for us. That terminal was built in 1947. It's literally falling down around the people that are out there. The SPLOST money, because we don't have the money to fix it, the SPLOST money will help us upgrade it. So no, it's not a Taj Mahal, but it's a decent facility for these people to fly into. And it's not unreasonable to think that if the facility is so poor that they might decide as a community maybe they should go somewhere else. Public safety, about $10 million for law enforcement. Again, fire protection, 911, and animal welfare. I think we all agree those are needed services that we have to have in our community. And we are a growing community, albeit slowly, and none of us wants to think that we would call 911 and somebody would answer the phone, or we'd call the police or nobody would come to our house. Parks and Recs is an important part, about $18 million. And in the past SPLOST pennies have funded Freedom Park, Mackey Park, J.W. Saunders Park, both Horace Blackwell Memorial Park, and any number of parks and recreation centers that we have in Valdosta. It's not only good for us, it's not only good for our kids, it attracts people to our community that come to use our facilities. And where we really benefit, a really cool thing is, half the money that we generate, the $134 million that we generate, half comes from people outside of Lowndes County. Because see, it's a consumption tax, it's a contribution. So people that come here to work, to play, to shop, to eat, they pay that. So $65 million comes from people that don't live in Valdosta and Lowndes. That's a huge bonus for us. We can't raise that kind of money. Is it fair? Yes, it's fair, because we're the hub of South Georgia. They come here to use those facilities. It's only fair that they help contribute to it. But it couldn't work without scale. It absolutely couldn't work without scale and the large number of people in our community that pay this small contribution, each one of us, 1 penny on a dollar, that goes to fund things that we couldn't fund. And I heard somebody, a couple candidates mention former Mayor Rainwater. The Rainwater Conference Center was built with SPLOST funds. We wouldn't have a conference center if it isn't for SPLOST funds. Somebody mentioned Norman Drive. That's our biggest retail corridor in Valdosta, and the widening of Norman Drive. SPLOST funds paid for the widening. We didn't have the money. The city doesn't have the money. The money's got to come from somewhere. So what's the fairest way to do it? For all of us to contribute. And for all of us to contribute a little bit, and because of scale, economies of scale, that little bit turns into a sizable amount of money that we can use to not only make our community better, but to also make needed repairs, make needed improvements. Your house doesn't last forever. Your roof doesn't last forever. The things we have in the city, the things we have in the county, they don't last forever either. SPLOST is a great thing. I hope you'll join me and the SPLOST 8 Steering Committee in voting yes for SPLOST 8. Say yes to the penny, say yes to the progress, say yes to our community.
Thank you for that. I'd just like to thank you on behalf of the Valdosta Board of Realtors for being here, all the citizens that came out tonight. And at this time, I would like to introduce Robert Morris. He's the president of the Home Builders Association of South Georgia.
Thank you all so much for coming this evening. Homeowners Association is proud to have the Chamber and the Board of Realtors join us in this important event this evening. We especially want to thank all the candidates for coming out this evening and letting us know what we're looking at voting for. Strong partnerships, like us, the Board of Realtors and the Chamber, that's what helps our community and the people that we vote for. And that's what we need, strong people to guide us. At this time, thank everybody for coming. Have a good night.